welcome. We're really excited to be here with you today. My name is Joyce Lin, and I am here with my colleague Eugene Kim. We have the really fun job of working with creators like you to bring amazing games to the Game Pass portfolio, and really excited to talk to you today about how to maximize the total value for your game. So whether you're new to working with Game Pass or you've partnered with us a bunch in the past, I think there's something fun and interesting for everyone. So let's dive in. I want to start with this idea of, what is the total value for your game? Is it gold coins raining from the sky? That might be part of it, but we also think there's more to it than that. So what might be some of the options? So glad you asked. We've got a little pop quiz for you. So is it A, reach more people, B, create new fans, or C, make more money? Really good options, all of them, right? Well, you probably guessed it already, but the answer is D, all of the above. And yeah, we actually think that's really exciting news for everyone here. So let's talk more about how those three things fit in with what we talk about with total value. So our total value equation has three components, and keep these in mind because we're going to revisit them in a lot more depth later on. So the first one is discovery. Game Pass is a powerful engine for discovery because we help your game stand out on our surfaces and channels and help you reach new audiences. 2, Game Pass creates new fans and in some cases brings back old fans. And we ultimately help you reach the most engaged gamers on our platform. Lastly, value. Game Pass helps you unlock additional financial upside with a combination of business models and by connecting you with an audience that's willing to invest in their gaming experiences. So it's this combo of discovery, engagement, and value that we really mean when we talk about this concept of total value for your game. So that all sounds great, right? But we know there's hurdles and obstacles to overcome, and it can be hard to achieve these goals. So the main challenge to achieving these goals is that consumers have more choice than ever before. And we're not just talking about gaming, we're actually talking about all forms of entertainment. So, think of the example when, you finish dinner, you're sitting down on the couch at 8 p.m. and you're like, what should I do? You're really not just thinking about, your gaming choices, right? You're thinking, hey, maybe I'll turn on Netflix and watch a TV show. Maybe I'll turn on Xbox. But we know that consumers have a lot of choices for their free time. So as a content creator, you're really competing with this huge spectrum of entertainment options. And it's a real challenge to stand out amongst all of these choices. We have a lot of sources of entertainment competing for attention. The average US household has 9 subscription services. That's a ton, right? I mean, soon we're going to need a subscription to manage our subscriptions. We have more ways than ever to connect with that content, 25 connected devices per household. And people are spending on subscriptions, nearly $300 a month per household. And then lastly, just to bring it back to the gaming industry specifically, the options in content have grown a ton. On Steam alone, there's 10,000 new games launching in a year. That's almost 30 games a day that are launching. So with so much content competing for consumers' attention, the real challenge for you is how do you stand out? Well, that's really where Game Pass can help you and where Game Pass really shines. Our vision for Game Pass is to be the ultimate discovery engine for your game. How we do this is by curating a catalog of great gaming experiences across multiple endpoints and continuing to invest over time to make your game stand out and surface it to the right people at the right time. That's really the power of Game Pass. This vision is also reflected in how we talk about the value prop for our customers. You may have seen our tagline, which is discover your next favorite game. Again, our vision is really to help people discover great content, including yours. Content has always been at the center of our vision as we've built the Game Pass product. From the beginning, we focused on delivering a really high quality library of games. So I personally love this stat, which is that since launch, Game Pass has launched over 60 Game of the Year winners from over 30 awards, and this is across first party and third party. The reason I love this stat is because it just speaks to the quality of the library, the quality of the creators that we get to work with. And ultimately, when your game is in Game Pass, it elevates your game too and helps you stand out amongst all the choices that gamers have. So whether your game is a new launch or it's been around for a while, Game Pass can play a role all throughout your game's life cycle. And again, it's through this combination of driving discovery, engagement, and total value. So just a few specific examples of where Game Pass can be a tool in your toolkit. For a new game launch, maybe you're thinking about maximizing your reach. Game Pass can do that. Maybe your game is well into its life cycle and you're thinking more about life cycle management. Again, Game Pass is a proven vehicle to reignite interest in your game, both with new and lapsed players. It's also a proven way to accelerate transactions and spend, again, because you're reaching an audience that is willing to invest in their experiences. Or maybe you're thinking about building a franchise and maybe thinking about launching that next installment in the franchise. Again, Game Pass can help you grow that audience and widen the funnel for your franchise. So as you can see, Game Pass is a powerful tool for creators like you to maximize discovery, engagement, and value for your game. And I will now hand it over to Eugene to take you through each of those elements in a little more detail.
Perfect. Thank you, Joyce. As Joyce mentioned, my name is Eugene Kim. I work on the content planning team here for Game Pass. Very excited and delighted to be here with you today because I actually really enjoy using the service. It's been a great way for me to keep in touch with family and old friends during the pandemic. Let's dig in. Let's start with discovery, which we define as reaching more gamers. And we spent a lot of time in the upfront about how Game Pass can be that discovery engine for your game. So let's look at some insights. First, we find that after our members join Game Pass, they play more games. To be specific, if you compare the 90 days before and after someone joins Game Pass, they play, on average, 40% more games. Importantly, it isn't just about playing more games. Our members are trying new genres. This is important because our own research shows that gamers get into a comfort zone where they know what they like and they keep playing what they like. But in the 90 days after someone joins Game Pass, we typically see that they play about 30% new genres. This also dovetails with some info that we have from our own members. They've told us that over 90% of our members have actually told us that they've played games they wouldn't have otherwise tried without Game Pass. Now, this is user behavior. As a platform holder, we also have some additional analytics and insights that we can share. Let's start with what we call back catalog games and the impact on audience size. So here you can see, again, comparing that 90 days before and after Game Pass entry, the average player lift for games on the Xbox ecosystem that enter Game Pass. On average, a game that enters Game Pass will see player lift of over 8 times after it enters Game Pass. Importantly, there is a range on this. So if a large, healthy game with a very large player base will see a smaller but still substantial lift of around, in the lowest sample from our study, 60%. But I want to call your attention to the right side of the graph. This is what we call our hidden gems category. Many of these games are from independent creators. And what we find is that in the highest sample in our study, almost 30 times as many people played the game after they entered the Game Pass catalog. Those are back catalog games. As Joyce mentioned, we also support new launches. So here we can look at 2 data points of interest. The first is if we compare games from large publishers that launched into Game Pass and compare their audience size in the first 30 days versus similar games, we find that on average, this player lift is over 3.5 times. That's really significant, particularly given the size and scale of the titles that are in this category. For our independent creators, there's even more benefits. So you'll see on the right side here that if we compare games that launch day one into Game Pass, we see a 15 times player lift for independent creators' games, again, in that first 90 days. Now that's all well and great. That's data from the Xbox ecosystem. But in fact, we can actually compare this against Steam, and we know Steam is an important marketplace for so many creators and so many games. So let's dig in. Over the past 2 years, we've partnered with third-party creators on over 100 different titles to launch into Game Pass. And if we compare the audience size between our Game Pass members and first 30 days owners on Steam, we find that on average, a title that participates in Game Pass benefits from a 3.5 times lift versus Steam owners alone. This is really significant when you think about our vision for Game Pass, which is to become the discovery engine for your game. Let's turn the page here and talk about engagement, or what we call creating new fans and bringing back old ones, including our Halo superfans here in this image. First, we really think Game Pass can create a cultural moment for your game. If we look at the 90 days before and after, it's a theme, of the social conversation volume, specifically if we look at tags and mentions on Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, all of the various channels, and compare it to the 90 days after we've announced that a title is coming to Game Pass, we see that there's 3 times as much conversation. So we can really help create that cultural moment or buzz for your game so that everyone is talking about you. As fun as social media is, though, it isn't just about getting you a lot of mentions on your favorite channel of choice. We've actually discovered that our members are our own best advocates. If we look at social connections within the Xbox platform, we find that Game Pass members have 3 times as many social connections as other players. And in a way, that network effect really becomes incredible marketing for your title. For those of you who have multiplayer experiences, it also makes the barriers to entry so much lower. It's as simple as right-clicking on someone's profile and hitting join. So this really shows that our members, in a way, are becoming the best advocates for your content. It's not just about playing together, though. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention streaming. I want to shout out here Ninja in the lower left. He got his start playing Halo way back in the day. That is an ancient photo, but you don't have to be as famous as he is to be an influencer for Game Pass. Here we can see a couple of senior leaders at Microsoft having a lot of fun playing Monster Train. And anecdotes aside, what we've actually discovered is that Game Pass members are about 4 times as likely to stream themselves playing on Twitch. That's really significant, again, going with the themes of the discovery engine and then creating and bringing back fans. Okay, so we've covered discovery and engagement. Let's get to the good stuff, total value, what we call driving financial upside. We mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that our members are some of the highest engaged and highest propensity to spend members of our ecosystem. And we can actually put some facts and figures behind that. If we compare spend between Game Pass members and what we call lookalike users, similarly highly engaged, high propensity to spend gamers, we find that on average, our members spend about 50% more in the ecosystem. Now, importantly, that is not limited to one category or the other. This lift in spend is consistent across base games, add-ons, and consumables. I want to dig in on those latter 2 categories in particular because we actually have some additional data showing how Game Pass accelerates transactions. If we look at the volume and the revenue generated from Game Pass PSM, as we call it, post-sale monetization, that's add-ons and consumables from the previous slide, and we compare the 90 days before and after a title enters Game Pass, we find that on average, PSM transactions increase almost 3 times. That's a massive increase in revenue. Importantly, 2/3 of this revenue increase is driven by Game Pass members, and 50% of this revenue increase is coming from members who have never played the game prior to it being available in our catalog. So this really shows that the 3 pillars are working together, helping our members discover new games, making them fans of your game, and in the end, coming back to buy in-game content. However, it isn't just about in-game transactions. For those of you who have free-to-play games, and we love all sorts of games, our Ultimate Perks program is yet another way for us to partner with you and drive value. I won't belabor the details on this slide. I'll just simply point out that our members have spent over $175 million in free-to-play games where we've partnered through our Perks program. I want to close with one slide that points to how our business model has helped unlock value for independent creators. Here in the graph, you'll see two bars. The left side is total revenue for independent creators in 2016, and the right side is total revenue for independent creators in 2020. And what you'll find is that first, there's been a 300% or 4x increase in independent creator revenue in the 4 years of our study. Much more significantly for Game Pass, though, if we look at the portion that's actually coming from Game Pass participation fees and our performance bonus programs, 2/3 of this growth is being driven by Game Pass. So again, it comes back to that theme that our business model is helping drive creator success and value.
So that's all we have for you today. Hope you've enjoyed it. I know we've had a lot of fun walking you through these insights. So if you're already partnered with Game Pass, big thank you. We're almost as happy as these two cute dogs in the picture. And let's keep talking about opportunities. If you're new to Game Pass, welcome. We love all games, and we would love to talk to you about your game. And here are a few ways to reach out to us. And I hope you have all enjoyed the time with us today. Thank you so much.